and welcome back to the Dandelion Diaries. Today we are going to be doing my ink progress report for July. I had 7 pens again, just because that's the pens I usually go for 7 pens. And I decided to keep the swatches with us this time, so that way we could compare writing samples to swatches, also to how it writes live while I write down my reviews. And I'm going to zoom you guys in, and we're going to get straight into this. So for the first time ever, and I mean ever, I ended up re-inking every single pen. I didn't even make it halfway through the month before I had to re-ink like my pens. And I've never had that happen before, which is crazy. The first pen that I'm going to be reviewing is my Nahvular Horizon in Twilight. The resin on this is stunning, and it's called the 𝗕𝗁𝗏𝗏 is the sparkle, is gorgeous. Like, just appreciation moment for this pen because it is so pretty. In the hand, this pen is lovely. It worked beautifully. I loved writing with it, and the ink I had in it was the Fireopal Adventurine, and the rose gold shimmer matched the kind of like beige gold colors in the pen. It was really, really nice. So I usually rate all of my pens on a scale of 1 to 7, but this one I ended up rating it as number 2. Well, actually, okay, yeah. So we'll do 1 as Okay, so I usually rate my pens as 7 out of 7. So like 1 to 7. 1 being the worst, 7 being the best. And this one I decided to make a 2 out of 7. And it's mainly because it was a lighter ink, so I didn't write with it as much. Like I said, I still refilled this pen. I love this pen. I have no problems with this pen or this ink. They're gorgeous. It's just, out of all the other ones I had, it didn't make the top of the top. I will say, of all of the pens I had, I did have a few that were broader nibbed, and the Nahvular Horizon was one of those, so I kind of expected to have to re-ink it, but the fact was that I had to re-ink every single pen, even the ones that I had a fine nib with. So double broad or not, it was still really fun to write with, and I did have to re-ink it because of its ink capacity. The next pen I had was my Monteverde Trees of the World Avenue of the Baobabs, and this pen is so cool. It looks like wood, and with the actual wood inlaid in the cap, it's really stunning. I ended up rating this one a 5 out of 7. So, or no, a 3 out of 7. Shoot. I got my numbers backwards. So this one, yeah, we'll just say this one's 5 out of 7. We'll say 7's the worst, 1's the best. And the only reason this one made it to the bottom is because of the nib. So if I can get the camera to focus. So the problem I had was this nib ended up being really gummy. It kept getting ink boogers and drying out really fast. I don't know if it has to do with it being an 𝗦𝘃𝗃𝗁𝗏 nib, so it does, you know, let more ink flow out of it, but it just was really, yeah, just gummy. Like, you can kind of see maybe on the end of the nib there, right next to the finger rest. Yeah, it just had a lot of goobers, and it had a lot of hard starts, but nonetheless, the ink in this thing was gorgeous. So overall, I loved this pen and this ink combination. The red was like orange and red and brown and had beautiful shading, and the flex nib showed all the different shading and all of the different writing. It was absolutely gorgeous. But again, because of that little goober issue at the nib, I wouldn't suggest this to somebody who travels because you would have to clean your pen every single time you would use it. Luckily, this one just sits on my desk, so I just had a paper towel ready and I would just wipe it off and start writing. But if I was on the go with this and I didn't have something I could wipe ink onto, I would be pretty frustrated considering how much it goobered up at the top. The next pen that I had inked up was my Benu Iced Caramel Latte, and it had 𝗕𝗏𝘁𝗁𝗏 Cappuccino in it. And I didn't know that 𝗕𝗏𝘁𝗁𝗏 Cappuccino was scented, or if it's not labeled as scented, it was scented in this pen. Because every time I wrote with it, it was like I was in a coffee shop. It was amazing. And because of that, I gave this one a 3 out of 7. This was one of my top 3 for this month. It was absolutely a sensation to write with. Again, I had to re-ink this pen as well as the other ones. I guess because I wrote so much with it, it was really a truly fun experience to write with a coffee scented ink and a coffee pen. I'm really happy with this combination I picked, and I'm definitely going to be inking it up again. The next pen I had inked up was my Leonardo Momento Officiana Zero Grande 2.0 in Sunflower with the DeAtramentis Jane Austen ink, and I love this pen. Oh my gosh, I can't get over the resin in this thing. It's so beautiful. Anyways, I gave this one a 4 out of 7. It was probably my middle pen, and the only reason for that is because I just didn't get the shading with the green ink, and that's all. I loved writing with it. I had to refill it. I ended up using my entire sample that I had of Jane Austen for this pen because I wrote with it so much. I love green ink. I love writing with green ink. It only made it in the middle, like I said, because all of these pens are great, and I'm trying to be really, really picky because I couldn't put every single one as a number one. And the next pen I had inked was my TWISBI Eco Smoke Rose Gold. And I have a little bit of ink left in this one, kind of, you may be able to tell, but this had the Diamine Ink Vent Green Edition Upon a Star in it, which is a shimmer ink, and oh my gosh, it was so pretty. This was my number one pen, favorite pen to write with this month. I wrote so much with this pen, and it was amazing. The boldness of the stub nib, along with the shimmer and the sheen of this ink was such a dream. It was like a firework in a pen, which is what I wanted, and I was so happy with it. I will say the only downside I had to this pen is since it was a stub nib, I wasn't able to write super small within like the grid lines of my journals or anything, so I had to be a little bit bolder with my writing, which is pretty common with larger nibbed pens anyways. But still, because of the way this ink worked out in this pen, it really was a dream to write with, and I really enjoyed it for sure. The next pen I had was my Laban Rosa in Lilac, and I love this. I had to re-ink it twice, and because of what happened when I re-inked it is why it is my bottom pen this month. So this was my least favorite, I guess, to write with in a sense, and that's because of the refilling mechanism in this, which is such a shame because this is my first time inking this pen. So what happened was when I would ink it up, there was no problem setting it up the first time. When I had to go to re-ink it, the cartridge, or not the cartridge, the converter got stuck inside the bottom of the pen barrel. I don't know on what. I think it was a spring. I didn't even know there was a spring in the bottom of it, but it got stuck, and it ended up getting ink everywhere, and this was like dark purple ink. So I really was confused as to what happened with the mechanisms of this pen. Just because the converter did get stuck, but I don't really know if that's a common problem. So if you've had this problem with this pen, please let me know in the comments, and if you have a solution, please let me know in the comments. But that is why this one was my 7 out of 7. And the last pen that I had inked up was my second favorite, and this thing is so cute and tiny. It has patinaed quite a bit since the last time you guys saw it. It's my Travelers Company brass fountain pen with the fine nib, and I had this inked with Sailor Black, and I re-inked this one twice, I think. But yeah, it was super fun to write with. I wrote with it all the time, every single day, and since it was portable, I could take it with me whenever I left the house, and it was wonderful. It was so nice. But yeah, second favorite for sure. I also really liked that this pen was very bold, so every time I used it, it looked really nice on the page. It stood out. It was truly a dark black ink writer, which is what I wanted. This is what I wish my May currently inked had with the Diamine Onyx Black and my TWISBI. And I'm so glad that I was able to get the solution in a way with this Travelers Company brass pen. It was so much fun to write with, and I will definitely be inking this up again with a black ink and probably just carrying it everywhere that I want because it is so portable and fun to use. So now I'm going to kind of take you through what the swatches look like. So this was the Ferris Wheel Press Adventurine. So this is the writing sample with the swatch right here. Very beautiful. Then we had Monteverde Fireopal. Still one of my favorites. I will probably buy a bottle of this because I don't have any bottles of ink this color, and it is so stunning. It was so much fun to write with. I'm not kidding. It was gorgeous. Then we had our KWZ Cappuccino. So delicious. Just pen ink combination, delicious. Hands down. Then we had our DeAtramentis Jane Austen. Again, I used this sample up entirely, so I just get to reminisce on what this ink looked like unless I decide to pick up another sample. I don't think it's worth a bottle to me just because I have so many green inks, but still a really nice ink to write with. I just wish it showed more of the darker shading. Then we had Diamine Upon a Star. Seriously, like, this pen ink combination showed this ink so well, and I was so happy with it. I will definitely be re-inking this again sometime in the future when it gets a little cooler, which is what I wanted this ink for. It's definitely a good Christmassy blue ink. Then we had our Laban with the Poussière de Lune. And then lastly, we had our Sailor Black in the Traveler's Company. Overall, I was very happy with my selection that I chose for the month of July. I will definitely be re-inking some of these with the inks I had in them for this month, just at a different date. I'm really concerned about that Laban pen, so please let me know if you have any suggestions in the comments, especially since it's brand new. I'm tempted to just see what I can do about it. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. If you're interested in more content from me, I do have an Instagram. I will leave it on the screen. And if you're interested in my previous ink explorations, currently inked, ink progress reports, anything like that, I will be sure to leave the playlist in the description. But for now, I will see you in the next one.